Hi you guys, Sarah Pacaro, and I am happy and excited to be here with you today and bring to you some more information about what may have happened in your past that led you to being in toxic and unhealthy relationships with narcissists, because there's always a connection. This trauma bond is a connection, but there's a lot of different seeds that were planted along the way that led you to maybe this last or most recent or most detrimental and impactful relationship with the narcissist in your life, specifically if it is someone that you chose, not a parent, but a partner. So what is one of the causes of this? Well, we talk a lot about the causes, and when working together, we get to the root cause to heal from it, because that is really where the healing is taking a look inward. So you'll notice a lot of feelings of shame, neglect, guilt, and this happens from our past experiences. And that past experiences before you can become an adult is the experience of being a child. So there's this feeling when you're a child that you have to put this wall up. And this part of this childhood emotional neglect is there's this feeling that you have this wall up. Most often though, when you're a child, you're not aware of this feeling. I had a very powerful session with a client yesterday, and she simply went back to a scene where her sister was making fun of her. She went to tell her mother about it, and her mom said, "Stop crying, stop being such a baby." Oh my gosh, hello childhood emotional neglect. And you often as a child, you don't have a name for this, you don't have an understanding of it. All you get is this feeling that you're not good enough, this feeling that you don't matter, that your emotions don't matter, that they're subdued, people brush them under the rug. This feeling that you can't quite name for yourself, but you're frequently driven to act in ways that are not good for you. You feel like you need to be a people pleaser, you need to be a good girl or a good boy, and you need to keep all the adults or older people around you, older siblings, caregivers, happy, because when they're happy, they're nicer to you. So I'm talking about the feeling of being responsible. You feel that you are responsible. Yes, that is a feeling. You feel that you're responsible for making other people happy, where you become the codependent, you become the empath, you become the one that's the people pleaser. Maybe you feel like the scapegoat in the family. And I've noticed this feeling of responsibility is very aware and very present with a lot of people I work with that have experienced childhood emotional neglect. And some people feel it with their friends, they feel responsible. We had the conversation of her and a friend staying in a hotel, and they were having fun, they were going out for a conference or something, and then her friend said, "Well, you pick the hotel," and she said, "No, it's fine, I don't really care where we go, whether it was a hotel or dinner." And she said, "No, we'll pick the hotel." And she said, "Really, I don't care." And she said, "I don't understand. This friend got so mad at me and made me feel so bad about myself that I simply wouldn't pick the hotel or restaurant, but I really didn't care. Like, it didn't matter to me." But indecisiveness, the inability to make a decision because you feel responsible, if you don't make the right decision, that person's going to be mad at you. And that is very, very heavy. You get this feeling of heaviness in your chest. So a lot of times you were unaware of this feeling of responsibility, even to just make a simple decision like where you want to go or where you want to stay. And many people who have childhood emotional neglect, I'm going to say it's almost everybody, feel like they're the go-to person at work. Like, are you that person that people go to because you're quick? You're quick to take on the responsibility because you want people to like you. You become that people pleaser person. And you do this with very little thought or consideration about yourself. A lot of times people who've experienced childhood emotional neglect become the automatic caregivers, and they're the ones that say yes, and they find it very easy, and they kind of like that feeling of other people being able to rely on them because they have a hard time saying no, establishing a boundary. So what makes it so natural to get that feeling that you are responsible? Well, it's the word neglect. It's not a fun word, but childhood emotional neglect is not a form of childhood abuse because it's very, very subtle. It's much more subtle than abuse. Usually when you hear abuse, you think very, very much more abrasive terms. But emotional neglect is described as an absence of something. And that's why it's so subtle and so hard to detect and so hard to figure it out when you're an adult. And you think you know or you think nothing happened to you, and now all of a sudden, boom, you're in this relationship with a narcissist 20, 30 years later, and you can't figure it out. It's kind of this form of gaslighting for the child. It's very much a mind-altering experience. So our emotions from birth are literally hardwired into us. They're a very valuable internal feedback system, and they motivate us, they energize us, they direct us, they inform us, they connect us. Most personal, most biological expression of who they are. So imagine how extremely confusing it is when your parents or caregivers act like your feelings don't matter, or they're unacceptable, or they don't exist. So as a child growing up, if you experience childhood emotional neglect in a family, you have no choice. You have to cope with the requirement to show no feelings or to go against what you're really feeling. When you're really feeling sad, hurt, alone, and your parents are like, it's no big deal, brush it off, what are you crying about? Later on, this has a big impact on you because you are forced to push your feelings down, push them away so that they will not bother anyone. So you wall them off, you build up this wall, and that wall is heavy. So how does it make you feel responsible for everyone and everything? Well, there's a couple different ways. So you'll notice the lack of awareness of yourself and your own feelings. When your feelings are walled off from childhood forward, and now you're 35, for 30 or 40 years, it is really difficult to know yourself and who you are as an adult. Then you end up with a narcissist that they can't deal or handle with emotions. They lack emotional empathy. Hello, magnet and attraction. So your emotions should be informing you about what you want, what you like, what you dislike, what you enjoy, but you don't have access to these emotions because you've spent years and years walling them off. But there's such a rich source of data, and this rich source of data is blocked from you now. So it's really hard for you to know what you like, what you dislike. So you often find yourself going, I really don't care. Whatever you want is fine with me. So you have this lack of awareness of yourself and your own feelings. You put this outer focus on other people. So growing up in an emotionally blind family, you were required to turn your attention away from inside and instead direct it towards the outside. This is why you are now an adult who looks for something outside yourself to feel better. Hence a job, a relationship, a new diet plan, whatever it is. Because you have become a very acute observer of people. So you see their needs and wants much better than you're able to perceive your own. You feel walled off, blocked off from your own emotions and feelings. And now all you do is you just want to make other people happy because that's what you've been programmed and trained to do as a kid. So you feel invalid or you constantly feel less than. So you're now going through your adult life with incomplete access to your anchor or your rudder, like your emotions. And this makes you very, very vulnerable. And narcissists love vulnerability. They see it as weakness. They can smell it and they become magnetized to it because you're screaming, hello, I'm a really easy source and form of supply because I'm vulnerable, I'm blocked off, I'm not in tune with me, I'm going to give you everything that you want. So it's really hard to believe that you are as important as the other people in your life or that you matter as much as they do, hence why you stay in the relationship for much longer than you know you should, but you don't know why you do. And this leads you to automatically take a one-down position. And it shows up in friendships, it shows up in relationships, it even shows up in work situations and settings as well, because you exceedingly self-contain and you're very competent. So growing up with your feelings and your emotional needs completely thwarted taught you to highly value one thing. How do I take care of things? So you're very skilled at that. You're very skilled at like taking care of things. That's why you're the go-to person. That's why you're the one that everyone goes to, because they know that you're going to say yes. They know that you will take care of it. They know that you will put everything else on the side to take care of what they have just given to you, even if your plate is already full. So you loathe to ask for help yourself. You find it very embarrassing or very difficult to ask for help yourself. You are the taker-oner, and paradoxically, you are very quick to give it to others. Oh, if you have a problem, don't worry, I can solve it. I can help you. I've got it. It's a very typical stance that someone with childhood emotional neglect will take. So these effects linger in every area of your life, whether it's friendships, close personal relationships. They're kind of like these streams, and they kind of flow together in the river of your life. And so you underfocus, you're underaware of your own feelings and needs, and take on the feelings and needs of others and put them at a higher level of importance than your own. So how do you do this? What do you do when you recognize this? Because you were literally set up from a very young age to feel overly responsible for other people's happiness, other people's comfort, other people's health, success, satisfaction, and the list goes on. So how to feel less responsible? Well, you've got to redirect your focus inward. You've got to start paying attention to your own feelings and needs. And most people I connect with say, I don't even know how do you do that? I've never done that. I'm kind of seeing that I've never done that. I don't know exactly when it started, but I want to start feeling better, and I know that it starts with taking care of myself, but I don't know where to start. The more you become aware of your own feelings and needs, the less room you have for others. And this is not in a way like if it's with your kids that it means that you don't love your kids. That's not where this is going. But you begin to balance the scales. Right now the scales are like this. You're down here, and everyone else's needs, wants, desires are up here. So you just begin to balance the scale when you really start to go inward and take better care of yourself, so that you can better be there for the people that you do love and who do deserve your love and attention. Learning to say no. That's so hard and scary for most people who've been the caregivers and the empaths and put everyone else up here and then down here. Saying no, are you kidding me? They're going to get angry. I'm going to receive backlash. They're not going to like me. This is one of the prime skills of assertiveness, however. What is notoriously difficult for people who have experienced childhood emotional neglect. Are you kidding? I've always said yes. I've always said, of course. Yes, I can do this, I can take it, I can help you with it. It feels wrong to refuse someone a favor, but it's not. Saying no is a very firm boundary, and actually it balances the scale, because then they have more respect for you later on. So learning how to say no, plus accepting that saying no is a very, very healthy thing to do. It's a great start towards moving towards setting these limits of responsibility and having a healthy, loving, balanced life, especially with your kids or in any area of your life. I get asked that a lot. What do I do? How do I help my kids because their parent is a narcissist? You've got to learn to help yourself, and then model and lead by example, and accept that you are your first priority. It's going to feel selfish, but it's not. You are your own first priority. It's the oxygen mask analogy. You learn the opposite of this in your childhood, which is why it is extremely difficult and why you ended up in a toxic relationship. So this makes it difficult to embrace as an adult, but it's true. If everyone in the world is putting their needs and their well-being first, as they should, it is your job to put your needs first and make them your first consideration. So understand this. Your childhood set you up to be the person that you are to be, that you are today. Good and bad, successful things, and some qualities that have led you to some not so fun experiences and allowing some toxic people into your life. But there's these unspoken rules of childhood in your home that you learned, and taking back responsibility takes back the strength, takes back your power, and turns that light on. So it allows you to shine and really be who you are, but you've got to go back to the root cause and where the seed is planted. If you're now seeing where I'm at, there are some really good things because some of these qualities have made me driven and very successful, but other areas of my life, like close personal relationships, not so good. What do I do about that? I would love to take you on this journey. I love sharing about this because it's been my journey and my experience to a much better life when you really learn more about yourself and this root cause of where this all comes from. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I love when you like, comment, and share, and I will connect with you all very soon. Reach out. You can send me a message, or on the banner you can click a call and it'll pull up my calendar to schedule a time for us to talk.